Hello and welcome everybody to another Apocalypse Studios live stream. My name is Jalen Pachenik, your community herald, and for this week's playthrough of Eternal Darkness, we are joined as always by our CEO and founder, Dennis Dyack. How are you today, Dennis?
Hi, everyone. Hey, Jalen. Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. And we have a very special guest on the stream with us today, an Eternal Darkness speedrunner, Pandora Jane. How are you today, Pandora?
Hello, Jalen. I'm doing pretty all right.
Good.
Very happy to be here.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you as well.
Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate
it. Yeah, we really appreciate it. So, last week, playing Eternal Darkness, I kind of messed up and died before I managed to save the game, but I did get part of the way back for this stream. I didn't want you guys to have to sit and watch me backtrack through all those puzzles again, so we're right around where we left off last time. Not quite there, and I apologize, Pandora, you're gonna have to watch me stumble through this game. I'm sure you could do this way faster than I can, but we'll get through it together.
Yeah, no worries. It's always cool to watch people play for the first time.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this game that's very, very interesting the first time you play through it. A lot of the sanity effects, and if you didn't know that those were a thing, they can really get you on your first playthrough. Okay.
So, quick question for you, Dennis. Is that model the same as Joseph or not, of that soldier?
No, it's definitely not. Though similar, the actual characters that you played had significantly more polygons, and Joseph. Well, I assume for those who don't know the whole story, because of 9/11. We were going to ship on launch with the GameCube. We were actually on time, and then because we had a lot of Arabic content in the game, and we said nothing that was anti-Arabic at all, but because we had Crusaders in the game, and we talked about certain wars in the Middle East, very early history, we had to pull it all out, and so we had to rewrite the story. And so Joseph was one of my favorite characters, quite frankly. He fought with a mace, and was really cool. But that was not the same model. It was similar though, from the same sort of time zone. But yeah, not the same.
I'm trying to remember which door it was that I walked through last time that messed me up. I think it was coming up. The first horror that you encounter in the game. Ooh.
Well, I think you encounter a horror with Anthony. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
And then another one with Kareem. But don't worry, Jalen. We're gonna tell you when to save.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Now I have someone live telling me to go save, so I don't miss it again. Okay.
So we got a question. So People Toast asked, can you explain the meaning of 333 for Eternal Darkness?
Yeah, so 333 has a lot of across the board. And some people consider it the witching hour. It's also aligned, it's also reminiscent of angelic numerology, also alignment of planets. So there are multiple meanings for that, and it also represents the 3 parallel dimensions in which you play the game. So one of the things that I'm really proud of, one of the things I'm most proud of with Eternal Darkness is for narrative, we actually incorporated. What happened? What'd you do wrong, Jalen?
I don't know what I did wrong.
What just happened there? That's a tough enemy.
That's fine. It's normal.
Yeah, tough enemy. You explode when you cast a spell. But the fact that the storyline includes replay for parallel dimensions really is emphasized by that too. That's kind of like a hint on what's coming. That there's 3 alignments, there's 3 playthroughs, and get used to 3. There's the trinary system of
3 heads
physical,
on the horrors.
mental. Yeah, there's 3 is a big number throughout the whole game, so it's meant to represent many things, and just as sort of a precursor of what's going to come with this game when you're going to play it, and we really wanted that kind of metaphor to be throughout the whole game. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And it's all over the place. Like you see it on the very first cutscene with Alex. It's like right on the clock, and then you see it on the mansion. It's pretty cool.
Yep. That was the idea. We did the best we always when creating games. I always try to take an holistic approach where you don't have many one-shot things. You have complete underlying systems that essentially really define where the game is going to go. And I do think that people pick these things up through osmosis. So once they start figuring out how the systems work, they don't have to rely upon memory because they're made of exceptions. It's just the way the game is, and they can then intuitively make decisions based upon, where the future system is going to go. So when you're creating a spell, once you figure out that spells are like a language, you can then start creating your own spells even without the codices and stuff. So that's kind of the idea.
So in that same direction, talking about Alex's room, there's some interesting things on that room that when you play the game, you don't have access. But if you are able to move the camera around, you can see a couple of, maybe we can call it Easter eggs. There's a couple of posters and things on Alex. Do you know about that? Was that another person who put those?
I would have to see them because it's a long time ago. I think I'm familiar with almost anything. So if there are some Easter eggs in there, just to be aware, generally it's very strictly prohibited to have Easter eggs in the game because when we're working with Nintendo, that Nintendo doesn't know about. So I believe we went through and showed them everything, and they would be aware. But I'd have to see them to remember them. So I'm so sorry. It has been. When did it come out? 2002. It's been a while, so it's been almost 20 years. Yeah, but I probably am familiar with them. I would think. I would just have to see them to remember.
Yeah, I can send you some pictures of them, some screenshots later.
Are they bad or anything, or what are?
No, not at all. It's like there is a couple of pictures that are like no characters from the game, so I guess they're real people or developers. I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's 2 of them. There's like one, like a guy with a baby, and then.
I'd have to see the pictures.
Yeah, and then there is the notebook of Alex, which is on the bed. It actually has a screenshot of a real computer, like with a background, and you can barely see the folders on the computer.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have to see them. I'd have to see them, but
yeah.
Sounds vaguely familiar, so I know. Yeah.
The most interesting one is a poster of a band. Like it's like a poster of a boy band, and it says Hometown in the poster. So I was looking for that to see if that was real. Hometown is actually a boy band, an Irish band, but the picture of the poster is actually a picture of Blink-182, but with different faces. So it's like really strange.
So I believe that was a joke going around or a meme in the office for some of the artists in the game. I think that's what that was. So that was kind of like a joke. I remember it on some of the artists' walls, and someone actually had that poster on the wall. I think that's what that one would be. That's pretty funny.
Oh, I apologize for everyone in the chat watching me go through this boss fight again. That one head, I just could not target it.
Yeah, you want to kill the heads as soon as possible.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I just missed it.
Are you enchanting your weapon?
No.
You should be enchanting your weapons.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it's a nice tip.
Yeah, it'll increase your damage. So once you kill this guy.
Yeah. Back my sanity.
So enchant your weapons now. Yep, enchant your weapons.
let's see. Spell list, where was that? Cast. Ooh. Ooh, I like the effect.
So you'll do more damage, and Jalen, once you get more alignments, so more Elder Gods or more Ancients, there's a rock, paper, scissors, what's the right word, relationship where different colors are better against other colors.
Okay, makes sense.
And so it's basically RBG. So red is better than blue, blue is better than green, and green is better than red.
Okay, very good to know.
Okay, so another question from Twitch, from People Toast. I found a small picture of Gumby in the controller icons. Is that a reference to the programmer Andrew?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. That was his nickname, Gumby. And
Nice.
His nickname was Gumby. He's a great guy, really like him, good friend. And he's double jointed, so he's like super flexible. And he does things that are so anatomically impossissible that he got the nickname Gumby. Like he would just twist around and people were like, oh my God. So yeah, that's why that's there. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta give a little shout out to People Toast. He's actually from the community. He's one of the guys that have dig into more, let's say, database, like searching in the memory of the game and finding cool stuff and documenting the rooms of the game, things like that.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure that's where it's seen some. So Gumby did, or Andrew did, a lot of the interface. So the book interface that you see with the blinking eyes is a real labor of love for him. So he would go through and constantly update that, make it as cool as possible, putting in all those little touches. He was a good programmer, and yeah, just a great guy in general.
Yeah, I believe at some point Toast found some buttons for the N64 version even on the files.
Yeah, it was probably just left over. So,
Yeah.
you know, of course, it just probably wasn't stripped out. So when we started Eternal Darkness, it was all running on the N64 without that memory pack, which was pretty amazing at the time. And we literally built everything from scratch, but the code itself started from the same place. And we started taking a lot of the other research we were doing for the new GameCube, back then called the Dolphin, and incorporating them together. So it's highly probable that some of the old stuff would be there, and it was so small it wasn't worthwhile removing. So, you know. So in these places, Jalen, you're always going to purple. You don't want to do that all the time. What you want to do is different. When you go see those different colors, they will actually give you, you can power up. So these aren't only just traps. There are ways to get your health and your sanity back.
Oh,
So,
okay. Very good to know.
yeah. Yeah. So I think there's a horror firing at you from a, but you know, for the future, don't just run to the purple every time. It's kind of a puzzle, but you start to realize that those are, trappers can be both just as beneficial as they are painful. So if you're short of health and you're not doing a speed run, you know, you get to the red area, you'll get full health, as an example, or you need sanity.
Okay. Very good to know. Very, very good to know.
Also, Jalen, you want to save as soon as possible because there is something difficult coming up.
Perfect. Perfect. That's exactly what I needed. Thank you. I'm assuming that's Alex's grandfather?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite storylines, actually. Pretty good. It's pretty creepy, actually.
Okay, save the game. Now we can go down. I hear that baby crying again.
So, Dennis, question for you from me. So you already answered this on some interviews that the N64 ROM is on possession of Nintendo. But my question is, like, who do you think we have to talk with to maybe get access to it, because Nintendo is like a very big company. So maybe we can like nail someone more specific to maybe get access to it, so we can
Well,
send them a message.
Well, so there's two places to try. There's Nintendo of America and NCL, which is Nintendo of Japan. I think Nintendo Incorporated Limited. That's what NCL stands for. All the people that I would have recommended you talk to are either in different positions or no longer there. So I don't know. But secondly, I don't know if they would ever give it out. Nintendo's not big at that.
Yeah.
And those are pretty precious to them. But it never hurts to ask. And the worst that can happen is they say no. I would call up Nintendo Test in maybe America and start there and see. Or even if they can't give it out, maybe to see if someone can boot it up and send you some video of it or something like that. Because we were at Alpha. That game was almost done. So it was pretty far along.
Yeah, like the only thing we have right now is some videos of E3. Like you have some videos on YouTube with questionable quality just because they were from camera, but the quality is definitely better than that, and it would be very nice to see the game in action, how it was.
Yeah, no, for sure. Certainly not as smooth as the GameCube. GameCube was faster than the N60, but it was running at 640 by 480. So, yeah.
Yeah, on that same direction, there was a demo of Eternal Darkness for GameCube. There was a demo disc, and it was like a 15-minute trial. And there's some interesting things on that demo. First of all, when you go to Alex, you start the game. Alex has a music that is not on the final game. We actually extracted that song. It's called Sacrament on the files, and it's a very interesting song. It's actually not in the final soundtrack too, in the release of Steve Hennifin. I guess it got cut out or something.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So what probably happened, so when we did the soundtrack, Steve just put it together. He had no limitation when we made that, so I just told him to put together what he wanted, and he probably did a version of, because I thought Sacrament was on the official soundtrack.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No.
Okay, well, I definitely remember Sacrament. So he probably just forgot to put it on.
Maybe.
That's probably all that happened. So yeah, it's very possible that that particular soundtrack is only on the demo, which makes it exceedingly rare. Steve was amazing. I was shocked when I heard he passed away, and he was, in my mind, a musical genius. He was amazing to work with, but I worked with Steve, pretty much through the best games that I think I created in my career, all the way from, Too Human to all the way back to Legacy of Kain. So it was quite a long run with Steve, and I think he was at Silicon Knights for well over 10 years for sure. And he was originally from the West Coast. He was living in San Francisco, and he moved to Niagara, where we all were, and it was just great to work with. He's a super smart guy, did robotics, and was a programmer, did music. Yeah, he was just very cool. And but yeah, that's probably all that happened there. So I'm even unaware of that. I just assumed that because I know what Sacrament is, and I can kind of hear it in the back of my mind. I assumed it was on the original soundtrack.
Yeah, it's a pretty good song too. Yeah.
Makes me want to bring up. Let me look to see if I have it on here. Maybe I have that music.
Yeah, because there is actually another track that is not on the final game, but it got into the soundtrack, which is called Ashes to Ashes.
Huh.
That one is not in the game, but it's on the release of Steve.
Steve put it on his site somewhere? Oh yeah, it's not in here. Yeah.
I think the only one I have is the one on YouTube. But there is an official release, like on a CD.
Oh, wow.
It should have the track list.
Okay. Yeah, no, it sounds cool. I'm unaware, but that sounds great. Oh, you've got another rune now. So now you can do multiple spells. You can enchant your weapons with blue now.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, you're finally gonna hear the voice of Uyath.
Yes.
Let's see. So I was coming back to look at these runes in here because after fighting those enemies, I got the new rune, and I have to, I'm assuming, get past this wall somehow.
Yeah, you want to enchant. I think enchanting with Uliath will give you more power than red. I think you start off with the weakest and go to the strongest. So
Okay.
look at enchant. Look at enchant. So does it show you what runes are in there? No, maybe it doesn't. So cast enchant.
Blue.
Yep, there you go. Yep. So that's Uliath. That's what he sounds like. All the spells sound differently. My favorite voice for the ancients is Xelatoth, because we had two voices in there, and because she is a schizophrenic god, I thought that was a very interesting take on an ancient one. That it still had, though it's super powerful, still has its foibles. So
So a question from Twitch from Techi. He asked, talking about runes, how do you come up with the runes shapes?
that's a really interesting question. So when I designed the spell system, it was based off of some neural network speech recognition research I was doing, where in order to get a neural network to recognize speech, you have to break it down into phonemes. And I thought, well, why don't I create a spell system based on this? And so that's how I started. And then the actual artwork for the ruins, I literally drew in Word. So I didn't have an art program. I did straight lines because I wanted to be ancient, and some have a little primitive look to it, but I also wanted to look somewhat mathematical. Now I would take, I think, a more sophisticated approach with maybe more detailed lines and more complexities. But yeah, so all of those were literally done in Word. And when I would name the ruins, which I did, so I came up with the name of the ruins, the shape, and the colors, all within essentially a 24-hour period when I designed the system for the spells. And it was all done in MS Word, 100%. I hope that's a good answer. That's how it was done anyway.
I actually really like the design of the runes. Like for speedrun, for instance, we don't get almost any item that helps you, like scrolls and things like that. So you actually have to memorize all the runes because there's no names, there's nothing. And I think the shape of them helps a lot with that, to just memorize things.
Thanks. I did my best to make the shape of the ruin represent what they were for. And I know it's very abstract, but I tried to do that as best I could. And you saying that makes me feel good because it means I was somewhat successful at least. So.
It's pretty cool. Jalen, maybe you want to go a little bit, like backtrack a little bit, and you might find something.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I was just about to ask because I backtracked back to here, and I don't think that was the room where I fought the horror. Perhaps if we go even further back. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's me.
So there's a question for me actually on the Twitch chat. It says, how do you find all the strats of this game? Well, so I didn't find all the strats. First of all, there's another player named Sir. He's like the absolute MVP of glitch hunting for this game. I would say if I found about 20% of everything, he found like the other 80%. And it's really just on speedrunning a process of just trying to poke the game from as many directions as you can, and like try to look at the memory, like try to hack the game. I know that doesn't sound very cool. Like I'm saying that with the developer here, like I hacked your game to discover more
That's
stuff.
fine.
But basically, we do that, and something very very useful is when you find a softlock or a crash, you can try to poke there because that means something went wrong there, and you want to find out what went wrong and how you can use that, and etc. It's a very fun process of just trying to discover things that are useful. And actually, most glitches, well, maybe not most glitches, but a lot of glitches don't make it into speedrun. Like some glitches are just useless, quote unquote, for speedrun, but we still have them and they're still interesting.
That really got me when I was playing as the zombie. That was a really cool effect. And come on. Okay, let's try use. There we go.
Trying to help you. I put something in the chat, but you looks like you got it on your own.
Appreciate the help though. Believe me, I do need it.
So, question from the Twitch chat. Cutthroat Gaming asks, will there be any body horror monsters in Death House Sonata? Will we see any Cronenberg type creatures?
I'm a huge fan of body horror. I love it, and yes, I would think so. Yes.
Opens up a bunch of options for, say, necromancers piecing together body parts and the deceased, you know? Who knows what they'd come up with. They don't really care about form, it's all about function, right? Doesn't matter how gross or nasty it might look.
So you know, if you don't go full speed, Jalen,
Yeah, gotta sneak around
the
them.
trappers. Yeah. So now, what do you need? Do you need health or sanity? What do you need?
Sanity would be nice. So I guess I wait for the...
Okay, so wait till it turns green and go in there. Yep.
Okay. So then going up to that green platform should...
So talking about the target system, so we can target different parts on Eternal Darkness. There's actually a glitch we discovered to target the legs of the enemies. So my question is, like, was targeting the legs an option for you at development at some point?
Yes, it was an early option, and it's probably a bug. We eventually pulled that, but initially you could target the legs too. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that was in there. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a very rare glitch. Like, we don't exactly know how to trigger, but we got it a couple times, and it doesn't cut the legs, but it shows the highlight on the legs.
Yeah, so that system used to be there, and we would do things like shoot out the legs of a creature, and we wanted it to keep crawling after you and stuff like that, but time prevented us from implementing that full system. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's a cool glitch, because that reminds me of something we had to cut in the design. You're getting somewhere, Jalen.
Somewhere. We're getting somewhere. I got a ruby effigy now. I've been through that door, been through there. I think back towards that elevator puzzle, probably. There were 2 other pedestals to go put stuff on, so try that.
Did it crash?
Nope, still going.
Okay.
Oh, right, oh, right. Touching them does set them off. Okay. Good to know. It's a learning experience.
Well, what do you need? Do you need health or magic?
I'll take some health this time, just in case.
That's how you have to think of these. Think of them as a boat.
Yeah, I did not realize that before, that's what the sort of glowing tiles on the ground do for you. They recover whatever you stand or whatever you need. That's very, very good to know.
So, question in the chat for Dennis about Eternal Darkness. Were there any big technological problems during development for Eternal Darkness? Like a glitch that took way too long to fix?
No. However, well, yes and no. So on the N64 version, yeah, absolutely. So the biggest problem on the N64 version was to run in 640 by 480 without the extra RAM card, because back then you had to buy a memory card in order to play high res. And so we were able to get the game to run without that. Now that was exceedingly hard. It took almost everything we had technology-wise to get that to work. And Miyamoto-san told us that they were unaware of anyone else who was able to get that to work, 640 by 480, without a memory card, because you were forced to go to smaller resolutions to do other things. So very proud of that. But by time we transferred over to the N64, I'm sorry, the GameCube from the N64, we were, the technology was already far enough along where the loading times on this emulator are actually slower than on the GameCube, because we pre-cached and there was no loading times for any of the rooms. Everything was always instantaneous. So we had the loading down. The camera system was fairly easy to implement, though very unique for the time, because everyone else at that time had tank controls for their horror games. This was the first relative control for any kind of third-person adventure. So, but there were no serious things that really was problematic. I guess one thing I can think of, we almost ran out of space, so we had to really compress the FMVs a lot to get them on the disc. So we were very, very tight for space. That was, and getting the save game, we were doing bit compression, so we were using every single bit to save progress. So it was very complicated, and anyone who knows who does that kind of thing you're very prone to error doing it, so it's quite hard. And then getting physically everything on that small disc was a challenge, but we did it, and those were the hardest things, I would say.
Yeah, I'm guessing Sir is asking that. Sir is the great glitch hunter that we have on the speedrun community.
Right.
We have, there's like one thing that was pretty broken on glitches, which is basically on the pause menu. There is this page where you can see the cinematics, where you have a list of all the past cinematics, and
right.
we can broke the game a lot with that page. So was that added like late in development or something? Maybe?
It might have been, yeah, but it just might have been a bug that people missed. What can you break with the cinematic thing? What breaks?
We have a one frame, like every time you see a cinematic, there's a transition between the game you're playing and the cinematic.
Yeah.
And there's also other transitions between in-game cinematics with 3D models and pre-rendered cinematics. So
right.
if you skip the cutscene in that same frame of the transition, like 1/60th of a second, you store some weird variables of the game. We call it cutscene storage, and then the next cinematic you see, it kind of teleports you to that cinematic. So we can use that to teleport to many parts and also to skip some chapters.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. So because some of the cinemas are actually in real time, we literally would load the level. So, and probably because you're playing on emulators and not the GameCube, is that correct?
No, that's on GameCube.
On GameCube, you can do it. Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Okay,
Yeah.
so because the GameCube runs faster, that's probably a one-frame vulnerability where you can do that. That's pretty impressive. But so for FMV, obviously, nothing would change. But So what we do is we load the environment, play the cinema, then jump back. So there's probably just a hole in there somewhere by one frame where you can actually, not exit properly is the way I would
Yeah.
describe it, or gracefully. That's cool.
Yeah, that glitch alone is what make us separate the any percent category into two categories, because the game is too broken and you have to hit a one frame trick like 12 times. So
Yeah.
we separated, and that's the glitch that allowed the game to go like technically under an hour. I haven't gone that far myself. I got like an hour and 9 minutes, which is still pretty good. But like a very, very good player that nails every single frame could go under an hour on this game, thanks to that
That's
glitch.
crazy. Wow. Yeah. Well, that's a real big glitch. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. You can use a torch in here, Jalen.
Ooh, good call. Was not thinking about that.
I think there might be a rubble pile that you missed.
Yes.
Might have been. There was
With
the one.
with the torch.
Okay. So there was this over here. Ah. Perfect. Oh, that's not perfect at all. Oh boy, oh boy, oh
He's
boy.
addicted to enchant now.
Yep. Oh, that's great. Alright, come here, big guy. Alright, I might have been a little too confident.
Whoa, one shot. Nice.
Satisfying. Very, very satisfying. So are a lot of these finishing moves. I really like them. Playing through today, I liked, was it Anthony? The way he just kind of flicks the sword down into their backs.
Yeah, I really feel that doing those kind of things in games are very satisfying, and they're kind of like kill cams in some sense, right? Really inspired by Doom, but or Castle Wolfenstein, I guess that's when I first saw them, and these kind of things I think all games should do. So they're just really fun, and has a very rewarding feel to it. So.
Yeah, that weapon in particular is extremely satisfying. That's the Ramdao, the big sword.
Yeah.
And it has a very interesting problem. It's the only melee weapon that can deal like multiple hits at the same time. When you do an overhead attack, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was meant to be like really super powerful, and so this particular room right now, yeah, you want to keep. No. You've got to fight. You got to keep fighting here.
Okay.
And the key is going to be to survive, because you're going to start losing sanity. So always finish. That's the difficulty of this room.
Okay. Very good.
And the Ramdao, we thought the Ramdao really helps you finish, because you can attack multiple characters at once with it, because there's so many enemies here, because they'll just keep coming. And I think, I don't know what color did you select as your elder? Was it green, or was it Chattur'gha red?
This is on blue. It's Uyoth.
Oh, is this an Ulyaoth playthrough?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure, probably.
I
I'll take
I
it.
think that's the.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the medium. This is the medium difficulty one. I think the hardest playthrough is Xel'lotath, because your sanity just gets wailed all the time.
Oh.
I think. I'm trying to remember which one was hardest. In Chattur'gha might have been in the middle. I don't know. This might be the easiest one. I don't know. Trying to remember.
It really comes to players. I say most casual players find difficult Chattur'gha, just because a lot of people like to cut the head of the enemies, and Chattur'gha zombies get really strong when you cut the head. And they also have more HP, they do more damage, things like that. So usually for them, Chattur'gha is the hardest, and Zelda goes like the easiest because they have less HP. But if a player is bad with sanity, then Zelda might be harder for sure. So there's another question for me in the chat. Pandora, how do you become a speedrunner? So, if you want to be a speedrunner, really the only thing you have to do is you gotta engage with the different communities. Basically, every game has its own speedrun community. You can find discords or different forums, etc. And really, you just have to go there, say hello, and all that. And I want to speedrun this game. Can you help me? Because this is a very um, like there are few speedrunners that know pretty much everything, and we do our best to do like tutorials and stuff, but we don't always have all the time. I made a lot of tutorials for Eternal Darkness, but I haven't covered everything yet. There's still a lot of stuff that is not covered on those tutorials. So really, you just gotta go into those communities and just gotta ask questions for the games you love. It's really the best thing.
Very cool.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of very small tricks to speedrunning a game like this where you just wouldn't know unless you went and asked somebody else who's poured more time into it than you.
Well, quite frankly, the cinematic glitch, as an example, that's incredible. That's an incredible, very difficult thing to do. And all the testing that we did on Eternal Darkness, there was a lot. There was probably like 400 testers on the game for quite a while. No one caught that. So very good.
But even though my body is ravaged, I await you.
Who did this to you?
Yeah, we actually have other glitches with cinematics which are similar and easier. For instance, when you kill enemies and they lay down in the ground, you have to finish them for them to disappear. But something you can do is you can watch a cinematic. You go to start, watch a cinematic, and then when you go back, the zombie is not there. So, for instance, we use that on this same fight that Jalen just beat, because then we don't need to finish the enemies.
No,
We
interesting.
yeah, we kill all of them and then we watch the cinematic.
So much more now.
Wow.
In death,
Wow.
I know the true value of the artifact which I asked you to find.
I don't know why we're doing all this work for this woman. She sent Kareem off to go get a treasure in the promise that he would she would reciprocate his love. She clearly doesn't care about this poor guy.
Well, she can't. She can't now. She's dead.
That's true. She can't now because she was out there giving herself away to noblemen.
Lied to me. Betrayed me.
Poor Kareem. He deserves better.
Don't look so good anymore.
You must forget the past. Despite who you are now, you will also become something more. Just as I.
Interesting.
But the sacrifice.
Unless this is all a trick of his mind.
We must remain here and guard the artifact. Dark things will come to claim it, and you must be strong to keep it from them. Without your sacrifice, the world will fall into eternal darkness.
That's it. She said the title of the game. That's the game over. Right? End screen. Credits start rolling.
A name drop.
Mm-hmm. Ah, poor Kareem. He did deserve better.
uh,
Bad though. Another chapter complete.
that is.
And we're back with Alex.
I think that was. Oh, what is that?
You're finished. Look at that.
You actually finished the game.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Cool. Game's over. Done. Do I have? Okay. I had picked up some revolver ammunition accidentally. Before.
So, another question from chat. So Professor Spectrum is asking, why didn't Paul Luther got a ghost interaction with Peter Jacobs? Like, we got a lot of those ghost interactions from one character to another to kind of tell them what to do. So was that a decision or something?
Yeah, it was just a plot point. So one of the things that we tried to really do with the game to show that they were learning from past experiences was every time you pick up the Book of Eternal Darkness, you've got shots from every player you played before. you get a flash of that. And the idea of what that was supposed to represent is you were getting all of their memories once you finished the game. Once you got that character. So you'd play a character, you get a flash of all the previous characters, so you're constantly learning. And so the main vehicle of communication was the Book of Eternal Darkness, which was a tool of Mantarok, of course, so he can manipulate the universe. So that's kind of the main sort of facility of communication. And then we had other characters coming in and out, like we did there, or like Alex's father, which turns very creepy in the end, which is one of my favorite sort of offside stories. But they were sort of secondary to the information conveyed with the Tome of Eternal Darkness. And that's why we did those kind of things. Hope that makes sense. So we tried to do as much as possible. It didn't occur every time, and it was just really a choice with the characters and some of the storylines we.
Yeah, actually, the Tome of Eternal Darkness was the original name thought for the game at some point, I think.
Well, it was always the original name. So to be clear, Eternal Darkness, the original title of the game was the Tome of Eternal Darkness, but then we thought that was too long, so we just changed it to Eternal Darkness. And then, but that was obviously a huge homage to the Necronomicon from H.P. Lovecraft, which is the Book of the Dead. And with Dead House Sonata now, we have the Necro Libriatus as well, which is a homage to both of these games. So, both a homage to Lovecraft and Eternal Darkness. So, hey, my favorite scare in the whole game.
That one got me. Honestly, I was not expecting that. Oh, that was good. That was a good one.
That usually gets people almost all the time. That's a good one.
Yeah, it even stops the music of the environment before the thing.
We spent a lot of time on that scare, and when you stop the music like that, it's so subtle, and people don't realize what's happening, but it builds up this tension, and then boom, you get that, and it just scares the crap out of you. So, yeah, it works really super well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that one was interesting. Okay. I've got the journal page. I don't think I can open this unless I have that dresser key. Okay. Hi. Okay, cool. The banging door sounded like I've been in that room. It's too dark. Unless something has changed. Oh, now I'm nervous opening all these doors. Okay, wasn't this one?
Yeah, there is actually a way to get on the dark room, but it's not intended, so it's a speedrun way to get there without.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was gonna say because that eventually opens up, but not right now.
Not there. Who is knocking? Somebody was knocking on my door. But I'm not.
There you go.
Makes sense. I see.
We're getting to a very interesting chapter.
Spice jar. Gotta have my spices.
My favorite. I think it's my favorite chapter. This is Max, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite chapter.
Another chapter in the Tomb of Eternal Darkness. Tome,
not tomb.
The tomb. The grave.
People were making fun of that in the last stream. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think my personal favorite, but mostly because I'm a speedrunner, it's Kareem, because it's the one that has like the most action. And a similar thing would be, well, spoilers, Michael,
Yeah, Michael.
later for the same reason too.
Yeah, that was those ones. We had themes for each different level, and those were the sort of the action themes, and
Yeah.
that's why we gave Michael like a high-powered weapon, and Kareem is also the fighter. Which even though we switched characters in those areas, they were still heavily action-orientated ones, where others are very cerebral. Like this particular one is my favorite because of the narratives involved with
Yeah.
the autopsies. I think the autopsies are one of my favorite things in this game as far as narrative goes, and they were just so much fun to do. And when we were doing the voices with the actors, they were having so much fun because they could just go crazy. And you know, Max, we were just like, well, should I sound totally crazy? And we were like, go nuts, and he went nuts. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Max has some of the best lines, and also like you have the autopsies of Max, and all of those also have voice. Like when you
Yeah.
see the autopsies, they have a whole narrative, and it's really cool. Like, did
Yeah.
a great job.
Yeah, it was really fun doing those. I remember just how much fun it was, and I think Jalen will have fun with this stuff. So we'll see. This is one of the most interesting chapters too, because you don't understand what's going on at first, and then it all comes together and totally makes sense, and you're like, wow, okay.
Sorry, I just had to laugh at was it Cutthroat Gaming in the Twitch chat saying it's tomato, so either or, honestly. Tome, whatever.
No, Tomb and Tome are different, I think.
They are very different.
It has been 2 weeks.
Also, this is like the first chapter that you read that has kind of a more direct connection with Alex. So
Yeah.
things start to make more sense at this point forward.
Yeah, that was a real concern when we were making the game. So when we first pitched this, they were like, there's 12 characters in this game. No one's going to want to listen to a story with 12 characters. It's too many. Cut it down. And we were like, nope, it's got to be 12, and here's why. And they, after a lot of conversations, they eventually agreed that we had thought it through and that we weren't just being stubborn, and we crafted it this way. And yeah, this is the chapter where the story starts to make sense and people start figuring out what's really going on. Yeah. And this is also a character that's, is it the first one? Yeah, this character is, a fairly portly, and he walks slower than other characters. And this is where we're trying to show that heroes, you don't have to be, Arnold Schwarzenegger all the time. There's many different, with Alex as well, her doing her PhD in mathematics, her strength was not, her physical strength was not her strength. It was her intellectual ability to be able to solve problems that really allowed her to get where she is. And those were the kind of things we were really trying to focus on with Eternal Darkness, because we're quite frankly tired of all the very similar archetypes of, even if they had a heroine as a woman, it was pretty much very stereotypical, super good looking, super strong. And it's just, that's not what real heroes are like. Real heroes overcome diversity from the strengths that they have, not these artificial, creations, which that's what we really tried to do with this game. And Nintendo was really good with that too, because this was certainly the opposite. Back in this day, Tomb Raider was still pretty big, and Alex does not resemble, the character in Tomb Raider whatsoever. So.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things I like from back in the day playing Eternal Darkness. Just have Alex as protagonist, and also just going from character to character. Like this is not only resemble in the physical aptitudes of them, like how they look, but also in the mechanics. Like different characters have different stats. So you have, for instance, like Peter. I think it's Michael. It has very low magic and very low sanity, because he's like working at the war as a firefighter, so he's watching a lot of people die, but he has a lot of health and a lot of stamina, which makes sense for his work and all that. And all of that is resembling the characters, and is a very cool addition when you see going from one to another.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we that was the goal when we made. We wanted it to play very differently as much as we could, and still fit within the same system, but make them obviously different as possible. And that it makes a difference too. When you don't have a lot of sanity, things go bad really fast.
Yeah.
So
Like Paul Luther, on the other hand, because he was a religious person, he had a very high sanity, but he had a very low health, for instance. Because
yeah, I remember when we were focus testing Paul Luther's chapter, we did everything we could to use all the tropes of get ready for this boss fight, it's going to be awesome. Get ready for this boss fight, it's going to be awesome, and then just insta blick. We have so many video recordings because we'd actually tape people playing the game and the looks on their faces. They'd look around because at this point the sanity system was like, is this real? Did this really happen? And then it goes into the book and they're like, get mad and throw the controller down, and it was pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome just seeing that stuff.
Well, spoilers. Now I know there's a big boss fight coming up that isn't quite what I'm expecting.
Oh, there's all kinds of boss fights coming up everywhere.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, you're handing out this, or I'm getting handed this flintlock pistol ammo left and right. I don't want to use it, but I feel like I'm gonna have to. Let's see what else is in this house.
So something, I don't know if it was an overlook or something, but we were talking about the physical aptitudes of the characters. Max, for example, he's very slow, but he still has a lot of stamina. Like, you can run with Max for forever. Unlike, let's say, Roberto, which is also slow, but he has pretty much no stamina. Was that intentional or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So the difference is, and why we designed it that way is what conditions are they under? So as an example, he's in his own home. He's determined. He's mentally very strong. Maximilian is, where Roberto is essentially a slave.
Yeah.
Watching the pillars of bodies being built by one of the most cruel invaders of all time. And you have to figure this out now.
Mm-hmm. Darkness.
So that was done intentionally. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not you. These. I don't think it's these ones. Nope.
Well, you got a 1 out of 4.
Try green. Because green beats blue. Got it. More or less. Parchment, invisibility scroll. Okay. Pick up the saber. I feel like that's gonna come in handy very soon. Especially considering that book sitting there on the table. Okay.
That looks pretty suspicious.
It certainly does. Always a bad idea, but pick up the book.
Also, this might be a good time to save.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Yep, and actually, just looking at... Whoa, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, we're right at the end of the stream time too. So
Yeah, I was
time.
gonna say, actually, yep, this is perfect. I will save here, and I think we can pick this up next time. There is something big waiting for me out there in that hallway, so we'll see about taking care of that next time on the stream. Thank you so much for joining us, Pandora Jane. We really appreciate you coming out to the stream. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the people in Twitch chat? If any plugs, or if you'd like to talk about your game a little bit?
Well, so I'm like, I don't know if I said before, but I'm a game developer too, an indie game developer. I'm working currently in a game called Dreamnesthesia. We can actually share the link, I think.
Yep. I
think share it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, someone posted that in the Twitch chat.
So it's basically a tactical RPG that it's situated on the realm of dreams and nightmares, and it has some inspiration from Eternal Darkness, I could say, because the
Cool.
gameplay and some of the mechanics um, will shape how you see the game and how the characters behave and the story lines they say, all things like that. It currently has a demo. It doesn't have all those features I just mentioned because it's just a demo, but it will have it when we have the final product. The demo is free and you can get it on that page. And yeah, so give it a try if you want. And
Very
thank you
cool.
so much for letting me say that on stream.
Oh no, for sure. Got to support all developers out there. That's really cool. I'm very interested in checking out the demo, and I'm also interested for a few future houses in Dead House Sonata to talking to you about what we're doing with some of the stuff that may encompass dreams. And it's very Lovecraftian, so love the whole realm of dreams and stuff. And what you talked about there sounds pretty provocative. So check it out, everyone. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, and thank you again, Pandora Jane, for coming out onto the stream with us. We really appreciate it, and we love connecting with our community like that. Anytime we can have someone onto the stream, it's always our pleasure. So thank you, and hopefully we can do this again sometime soon.
For sure, it really was an honor to just like talk with developers and stuff. We really spent a lot of time doing speedrun on Eternal, so it's really cool to just show what we do and all that.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
hey, any tips and tricks you got about Eternal Darkness, please send them my way. Anything
Yeah,
to make
for
this
sure.
play through a little easier for everybody at home.
Maybe sometime in the future we can have Pandora actually do a speed run. That would be
Oh,
cool.
that would be great.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
not a bad
that would
idea
be
at all.
really fun. We should cue that up for a future episode sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to keep in touch then and make sure to schedule that sometime soon. Perfect.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you everybody in Twitch chat for coming out to watch us today. My name is Jalen Pachenik, your community herald, and thank you so much for joining us at twitch.tv/DeadhouseSonata. Next week we're going to be on Monday, I believe. We're having Dennis's Q&A for a special talk that he gave about that was social media integration, Dennis, and the
Yep.
GenVid talk.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so
Sounds fun. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are concerned that it introduces pay to win, and I will be there to hopefully dissuade you from that concern, because that is not the case as far as we see it. And if we ever do introduce anything that's even remotely pay to win, because we are human and we can make mistakes, of course, we will fix it. There will be no pay to win in Dead House Sonata. Don't worry. Anyway, that's a preview for Monday. So
yeah, if you guys have any questions about that talk, please come out on Monday to hear Dennis answer your questions. If you haven't already, please check out our website, deadhousesonata.com. There you can join our forums to become a part of our community and have your voice heard. You can also find a link to our Discord, which is where I believe Dennis will be giving this Q&A talk. And while you're on our store page, you can see about purchasing a Founders Pack and become a part of our first stage. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and we'll see you on Monday. Fight the living, everybody, and have a good weekend.
take care.
Bye bye, everyone.